So if you're watching this video, then you're planning to buy a home. And in this short video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. Often working with home buyers, I find that people get overwhelmed, especially if they're first time home buyers, particularly if they're moving to our state from another area. There's a lot of transition, a lot of changes, a lot of directives being given, and people tend to get flustered. My purpose here is to settle everything for you and also let you know that this is a very straightforward and standard process across the country. There's slight differences from state to state, but most things are pretty similar. And so let's start from ground zero. If you're buying here in Florence, here's what you need to do. You're going to work with a few different people during this process. Here's the first two people that you need to contact. You can do it in any order, but these two people are the first two that you need to establish a relationship with: a local realtor and a lender. Now, like I said, it really doesn't matter which one you contact first, but I will emphasize, I will strongly recommend. Obviously, the realtor is going to be local, but also that the lender is somebody local in that market as well. Here's the reason why. Once we find the house that you're looking for and we begin the process of purchasing that house, your realtor and your lender are going to be working hand in hand. There's going to be a lot of communication between the two during the process because we both feed off of each other and work together to get your house closed. There are multiple handfuls of qualified quality lenders locally in our market and in every market that can get you exactly what you need and the quality of service that you deserve. So that's a non-issue. But what it does is this is going to help your real estate agent out and your lender tremendously when the two parties are local, probably already have some sort of pre-existing relationship, whether they've done a deal together or not. There's some sort of familiarity with either one another or at least the two companies that each party work under or work for or own. And that's going to make your transaction a lot smoother than what it potentially could be. I could get into a bunch of horror stories and things, but that would be for another video another time. I'm just going to tell you for now, that's a fact. Ask any real estate agent across the country, and they will tell you, yes, he has a point. That is the preferred method. Not mandatory. If you have a relationship with your bank in the city that you're in and you want to do business with them, by all means, feel free to do so. But if you don't know where to start, you don't have a pre-existing relationship or connection, I'm telling you to strongly consider working with a local lender because it's actually going to benefit you in ways that may go unseen, but are certainly true. Once you make those two connections, you and the real estate agent are going to start looking for the right property. You're probably going to start sending houses to the agent. You're going to tell the agent exactly what it is you're looking for. Be as detailed and thorough as possible so that they don't waste your time sending you homes that you're not going to be interested in. They're going to put you on their list of home buyers and start searching for homes. They should be doing this daily, sending you homes that may interest you that already are for sale or as soon as they are hitting the market. Depending on your schedule and where you're at and when you'll be in town, that kind of thing, you'll schedule home showings, go tour homes together, and start looking for that home that's the perfect fit for you. Now, what your lender is going to do at this point is go ahead and put together your pre-approval. The initial phase of this is a pretty short process. They're going to gather some financial information from you. They're going to plug your numbers into the computer and they're going to tell you what amount of money you qualify for. Now, of course, you're going to need to have an idea of this to do the part we just talked about. But as I stated, usually these things are happening simultaneously and they're happening pretty quickly. So now you have your pre-approval amount, you know what your budget is, you know what your numbers are going to look like, your monthly payment, etc., and you're able to factor that in to your home shopping. The next thing that's going to happen is you and the agent are going to be viewing houses, maybe only one, but you're going to find that perfect house that you want to make an offer on. Now, real quick, I need to just backtrack and mention a couple of things. One, you can switch lenders at any time if you want to. You're not locked into that lender. And the other thing I need to mention is in order to start viewing homes and working with that real estate agent, you're going to need to sign some sort of agency agreement with that brokerage firm, with that real estate agent. That is standard and that is required nationally. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm going to update and do a new video for 2025 explaining the agency agreement itself and that process. So for now, I'll just make that statement. Don't be alarmed or caught off guard when the agent says, I've got to sign and enter into an agreement with you. That's normal practice. That has to be done. And that agreement is pretty much fully customizable. So the terms you can negotiate with the agent and put in place what makes the most sense for you at that time. Now that you've found that home that you're looking for and you want to put an offer in, you and that agent are going to sit down and go over the agreement to buy and sell contract and put together your offer. There's around 30 sections on that contract. I'm not going to go over them in this video, but you're going to fill that out. And what your goal is to send that ideal offer over. Everything's on a case-to-case basis. It's going to be specific to what your needs and situation are. But if you draw that offer up, you're going to sign it and your agent sends it over to that seller's agent. If they sign that agreement, and they could reject it or counter, but if they sign it, then you are now under contract for that home. Now, today I'm just going over a typical transaction. There's a lot of different paths actually that you can go to get to the closing table, depending on circumstances, such as, are you a cash buyer or are you getting a loan? Obviously, if you're a cash buyer, everything we just talked about obtaining a lender is irrelevant for you. But most buyers that we work with that are coming to our area are obtaining a loan. So, in a typical transaction, now that we have a signed agreement, immediately we're going to go into what's called our due diligence period. I've done an entire video on due diligence. It was right when I started this channel. It's very raw and green. I'm probably going to redo it. In layman's terms, this is the period of time we have to do all of the inspections, all of the legwork, so that you can make sure that this is the house you want to buy at the terms that we agreed upon initially. Now, you're typically, and especially at my recommendation, going to have 2 inspections done. It's going to cost you around $600, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but you can go ahead and estimate you're going to spend $600 on 2 inspections. One is going to be your home inspection. Your home inspector is going to look at everything from the roof to the foundation. The other inspection is going to be your termite/wood inspection, what we call a CL 100. This is where an inspector is going to come out from a local pest control company and inspect for termites, pest infestations, moisture issues with the wood members underneath and in the structure of the house. The home inspection is not mandatory. It's usually around $400-ish. You do not have to get a home inspection. I'm always going to recommend you to get one. It's $400 well spent. The CL 100 or wood inspection may or may not be mandatory. This is at the discretion of your lender, depending upon what type of loan you're obtaining. If your lender is not requiring the CL 100, then that's $150 to $200 that you don't have to spend for that inspection either. However, I'm always going to recommend getting both inspections done. We need to know what's going on with the property and with the structure. If problems come up during that due diligence period, then we can actually go back to the seller and ask for repairs or renegotiate the price, unless the home was advertised as is and they're just not willing to do anything. But more oftentimes than not, with a typical home transaction, if items come up on the home inspection report that we deem are really necessary or important to repair, we can draw up a repairs addendum or repair request list, send it over to the seller's agent, and renegotiate price of the home, or that they will get these repairs done by closing. Now, while all of this is going on, your lender is going to be constantly requesting information from you. They have to keep up with your income moving up to closing. So a lot of times you're going to be sending pay stubs to them, that sort of thing. They're going to be coaching you up on what to do and what not to do financially in terms of making large purchases. There's a whole world that they live in with your finances during this transaction that they're going to be working with you on as well. Now, if during that due diligence period you decide you want to walk away, we will have offered some sort of fee. Could be any number that we put on the contract that they agreed to pay. You pay that amount and you can just walk away and the contract's dissolved. Assuming that we've come to the end of due diligence and you still want to move forward with the purchase, by this point at 6 p.m. on the last day of due diligence, your earnest money deposit is going to be due. Caveat, sometimes a seller is going to request that the earnest money deposit be made prior to the end of due diligence, but it's actually not required to be due until then. So that's usually the stipulation that we put in our contracts. I do, at least. And that's usually not an issue. So assuming that's the case, your earnest money is going to be due at that time. You need to be prepared to have cash available and set aside. At the end of this video, we're going to recap all of the upfront cash that you need to be anticipating to have set aside to spend just in the house purchasing process. So again, at this time, that earnest money deposit, whatever amount it is, will be due. 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is you're going to write a check. You can send a wire if you're out of state or out of town to the attorney's office that's doing the title work, that's handling the transaction. And your real estate agent will be helping you coordinate all of this. So they're going to be your liaison between your lender, between the attorney, between the inspectors, making sure that all of those connections are made and making sure that all of those communications are happening. Once you hit this point, and let's just assume that there were no repairs being made, there was nothing extra in terms of the home that needed to be done to make it to closing. Usually by this point, we're 2 weeks into the process and we're about 2 weeks away from closing on that home. Process is normally going to take 30 days. It can be more, it can be less. But typically, statistically, majority of the time, it's a 30-day process. So again, assuming there were no repairs requested or anything like that, during this next 2-week period, there's not going to be a lot in terms of any process work being done between you and the real estate agent. Now, y'all may still have communication because your agent may be helping you prepare for the move, giving you pointers about things locally, setting you up with moving companies, that sort of thing. But as far as the house goes, there's not going to be a lot for the two of you to do for the most part for the next couple of weeks. So during this time period, as stated, usually what your real estate agent is going to be working on and helping you with is lining up all of your utility providers, making sure that you're prepared to get your lights cut on, your water, gas, anything that's going to be needed on that front, setting you up with any contractors or companies such as a pool service company, anything like that in the area that you're going to need to make your transition into the new home as smooth as possible. By this point, your loan is probably well into underwriting. They may be requesting updated documents, verifications, that sort of thing. That's 100% normal. And they're trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's to make sure that you're a good candidate for the money that they're about to loan to you. And they're just working on getting the deal done. Now we approach the closing day. And usually what I will do is offer clients the opportunity to do a final walkthrough. It's typically the day before closing, but it can be, kind of anywhere depending on what schedules permit. But it's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to do a final walkthrough of the house and make sure that nothing has changed in terms of the conditions that you were expecting to purchase the house in from what we saw. Now, this would be things like, say, a tree branch fell through the roof. Maybe somebody broke into the house and busted a window and kicked a door down. Maybe movers put a hole in the wall. There could be different things that may have happened. We do a final walkthrough to make sure that the home is in the condition that it was expected to be when the contract was agreed upon and still matches at the minimum what was found during inspections. There shouldn't be any new damages or drastic changes. They ripped a room off of the house and took it with them, that kind of thing. If for some reason there were some sort of change to the property, there's a stipulation in the contract that says that the house will convey in the condition that it was sold as. And if there has been a change that would be deemed a violation of that stipulation, that's a breach of contract. Closing can be postponed at that point for that reason. That's a legitimate cause. That's no penalty to you. Now, that's not something that frequently happens. But if it did, just know that you would be protected in that event. But assuming that that's not the case, then you go to closing. You're going to sign a lot of paperwork. You're going to bring a cashier's check, certified check. Perhaps you've wired the money over. Either way, you're going to exchange the final amount of funds that'll be due for your closing. Your lender by this point will have gone over with you your closing cost, and your real estate agent will have reviewed that with you as well to make sure that you know the amount that you're bringing to closing. Hopefully, the lender in particular, but as well as the real estate agent, have done a good job of preparing you for what amount to anticipate you're going to need for closing. You'll bring the money to the attorney's office. You'll bring yourself to the attorney's office and you will sign. Unless you're a cash buyer, you need to be prepared to be there in person that day to sign those documents. You'll do a bunch of signing and then that's it. It's done. You should get the keys that day. Sometimes it may take 24 to 48 hours because everything has to be recorded. But typically, you can expect to get the keys to the home the day of closing. And that's it. If it sounds that simple, it's because it is on the surface. However, there is a ton of detail and minutia. It's really actually variables from every case to case situation. Buyers, your specific situation, what type of financing are you obtaining? Are you getting a loan? What kind of loan is it? Is it VA? Is it FHA? Is it conventional? Are you paying cash? And then the home. What's going on with the house? Does the house need repairs? Does it not need repairs? There's a ton of variables. And so real estate agents probably will watch the video to this point and say, I know he didn't just say it's that simple. Oh, on the surface, it is that simple, but it's not always easy. There could be a lot of details. This is why you want to be working with a quality real estate agent that brings you good communication that you can work well with. And this is also why I really strongly recommend a local lender that at least has some sort of relationship with that real estate agent, even if it's just only they work in the same market. That's enough. They don't have to know each other personally or ever have done business together. But just the fact they're both in the same market is extremely helpful. It really is. And because there's so much detail and moving parts, the lines of communication really need to be quality. And just know that you'll be able to communicate with all the parties involved. So you have the real estate agent, the lender, the attorney's office handling the transaction, your home inspector, your wood inspector, and there could potentially be other parties as well, but at least those five are typically the five that you can expect to meet during this process. And you will have their contact information and you'll be able to communicate with them and ask any questions that you may have. But your real estate agent is usually going to be your first stop. They're going to be your go to. And at the bare minimum, you can bring your questions to them and then they can refer you to one of those other parties as needed. Now, as I said, there's a lot of other details that go into this process. We've made videos about specific areas such as financing and loans, such as home inspections. My plan as this channel is developed is to go back and continue to either drill deeper on those subjects or revamp that content and actually provide some new content for you in those areas to get into specific details, because you could go on entire rabbit trails about one little subject on a VA loan, for example, as we've also done that before. But to keep this very simple, and just to put your mind at ease a little bit, please understand it is that simple and it is that straightforward. And everything I covered in this video is pretty much the same stuff that's going on in whatever city you live in. And just know that when you start to get into the weeds of the transaction, that's what your real estate agent is there for. That's what your lender is there for. That's what the attorney is there for. That's what we do for a living, is navigate through those weeds and get that transaction from point A to point B. So by the time it's all said and done, hopefully in a reasonable, smooth, and efficient amount of time, you are now enjoying your new home. And with that being said, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it does calm your nerves a little bit. If you're overwhelmed, or even if you're not, it was just informative and it's helpful as you move into your home purchasing process. As always, my contact information is down in the description of this video. I would love to represent you as your agent as you purchase your new home in the greater Florence area, the PD area, even down to Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, and even up to Dillon, South Carolina. And with that being said, I wish y'all all the best. Y'all take care, and God willing, we'll see you on a future video.